So staying on the topic of biting, you did a record, it's like that. Jay-Z. My opinion, one of his top 5. Just for the bars.
Thank you.
The bars, the beat, the flow, everything was just
all fucking up.
Dope. Right? Now people have questioned Jay-Z on using Biggie's lyrics. Do you consider that biting?
Because the changing of the guard happened when the 90s happened. Some people would take phrases. See, it started like this. You would take a line that somebody else said, then it went into, you would take a whole 4 bars. Then it went into, you would take a whole record.
A hook.
The hook, and then a whole song.
Right.
And redo it. See what I'm saying? So things are gonna change. You can't stop the change. You know, regardless if you wanted to stop or not, things are gonna change. So when things change, you either move it or you don't. So in that change, people started being influenced to say these things that this person might have said before. I could use that and I could get my point across if I use that. I'm not really saying it's biting, it's kind of like giving a salute to the person that said it.
Right, homage.
So now that's where it becomes different. It ain't biting no more, so I'm giving you homage now.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
So you feel like Jay was paying homage?
Absolutely.
If you're in the inside track, okay, Jay writes rhymes for the initiated, is what I like to call people who are in the know.
Right.
If you're not in the know, you've never heard that verse before. But if you're a Biggie fan, you know exactly what that verse is, and you're probably going crazy because Jay just said it, shouting his man out. I know you shouted me out. You know you shouted me out, but a nigga who don't know.
Right.
But hip hop was never made for people who don't know. It's always been for the initiated.
But people would argue that he did it too many times.
That was his man, though. You know what I mean? That was his man. And you paying his kids, like the publishing is going to his kids. That was his man.
That was a different.
That's
that was a different thing. You know, Biggie didn't get a chance to really blossom.
Yeah,
the way he won. He only had 2 albums.
Redman,
and the second album, he didn't even get a chance to live out.
So
if Redman was doing a bunch of Method Man lines, everybody would understand. Like that's his man. That's like his homeboy.
Yeah,
right.
Let me touch on the influence thing to what I laughed about what Kid Capri said earlier. So Kid Capri is probably 5-6 years older than me, right? And that's not really much, but when I'm 15 and he's 21, it's a big deal, right?
Right.
So, you know, it's on record. My favorite DJs of all time is, rest in peace, DJ Star Child, the Chief Rocker, Brucey B and Kid Capri.
Right.
You know, this is who we heard on the tapes. And
before
like
I
even
Jay-Z and Nas.
before I didn't know how none of these dudes even looked. I was too young. You feel me? But when I heard these mixtapes, I've always heard them having a good time while they was DJing. Like you listen to a Star Child mixtape, you feel like you in the party. He's describing the party. He's talking about the mirrors. He's talking about this. So I'm like, yo, like that's who I feel I am. I want to talk to the girls. I want to shout this dude out. And it was very challenging because obviously as a Spanish or as a Latino, right? I'm Dominican, by the way, which no one will ever guess. No one will ever guess that.
Right.
You can breathe. I know that. Right. So, growing up in Wagner Projects, right?
Shout out to Wagner.
And 119th Street, right? Which is like whatever, a block from where we at.
Right.
I had to figure it out, right? Because I was already, I go on a basketball court and I'm like doing my 1-2, and it's like, look at the oh yeah. The identity thing was very, very hard in the hood.
Right.
So I'm like, damn, if I want to do this DJ thing, like I gotta figure it out. Like I gotta take this energy from these guys, but I always knew I just can't say the same thing. Everybody got their taglines, everybody got their thing. Like my thing, 90s Latin Quarter thing was, oh my God, like that's, you create your own tagline.
Yeah.
So the reason I laughed when he said that was because in them days, in the early 90s, a Spanish dude talking on a mic, it was like taboo.
Right.
Oh, you trying to be like the black guy? And I'm looking around like, wait a minute, these are my friends. Like I play ball. Like, what do you mean? Like I didn't understand why I couldn't talk on the mic.
Right.
But everyone was so scared to do it. Like literally, like if someone say,
it's the truth.
It's the truth. A Spanish wouldn't dare, and I ain't gonna, trust me, I ain't gonna name no names. Whoever know. But trust me when I tell you,
Here these guys go
listen to me.
not naming
Trust me
names.
when I tell you, math, there are still dudes to this day that DJ that play my music, that whatever, that still think I'm black because of the way my voice sounds and because of the flavor.
Right.
You dig what I'm saying? So when I start cracking that mic, pause, you know,
pause.
at these clubs and stuff, it'd be like, it would look weird to people, like, yo, you ain't supposed to be. And I'm like, nah. So I kicked the door down. Yo, there was not one Spanish DJ that would dare to touch the microphone, to talk on the mic. They won't dare. And I'm looking around like, y'all crazy, watch me do it. And I'm there and I'm doing, and you know, you DJing. It's the style, but you gotta make it your own. You gotta just figure out, that's hip hop.
Right.
That's hip hop. And forget about it. After that, the floodgates opened. You know what I'm saying? So you can look now and be like, oh shit, that might work when it comes to like the Latinos, like a Spanish DJ.
Yeah.
You know, so when he kicked that door down on his side of the ethnic,
Right, it helped you kick that door
Yeah,
down.
I'm like, wait a minute, but nah, fuck that. I'm gonna do that shit too. And it opened up so many doors for everybody else. And I love that. I will never turn around and say, yo, you biting. Because I was influenced. So of course, I'm gonna influence others. And that's the game. That's that fine line that we talking about. Listen, I'll tell you right now, every DJ in the world uses this transition. It's one blood, the Junior Reed reggae record, because I'm borderline Jamaican, but that's another topic.
Right.
So this was actually on tape that I recorded in Night of Latin Quarters, where I wanted to use the One Blood intro to transition from a hip hop record to a reggae record.
Right.
So I hit the One Blood, I took the record off. When I went to grab the other record, I dropped the record. So now the record is going, mother, and I'm like, what am I gonna do? So at that time, I had it on a CD player, because as you know, 2 turntables, then you gotta use something extra. So when it said blood, I just looped it, bang, bang. If this wasn't on tape, people just won't believe, but it's actually on tape. And it started going blood. So I go get the record. When I come up with the record, there's 2,000 people in Latin Quarters going blah, 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 blah. It was a mistake. I've told the story a bunch of times. It was a mistake. I had to extend it so I could get the record and continue. So I'm like, I'm gonna do this again at 2 o'clock. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna do this at 2. And sure enough, 2 o'clock, I did it again. Blah, 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 blah. And forget about back down. We talking about just the CD days, right? This is like CDs. I'm still playing vinyls. So it was kind of hard to like duplicate it, but they figured it out. And to this day, I mean, Flex on the radio, all over the world, they'll use that. You know what I'm saying? And nobody, I'm telling the story now.
So do you feel like Flex bit that?
No, of course not. This is what I put into the culture.
Right.
Like what Kid Capri say, it's like, you gotta look back and see your legacy, right? If you don't see a legacy, you really ain't put nothing in the game. You understand what I'm saying? You really gotta do that. Like, this is about setting your legacy.
It's hot for trapper turn smack rapper. Only smack rapper that you know is smack rappers. Got bars I can hang with the backpackers. Trap star, I don't hang with the backpackers. I'm in the hood with the work you heard. Making fiends leave earth you heard. Got your baby mama thirst you heard. Feel the flow, nigga, throw it in reverse. This the wave you need to surf you heard.